Hello crafty friends, welcome to another video from me in which I'm going to create a welcome to your new home card. This is the card I created earlier today. I will talk you through how I made it and then I'm going to make another one that is slightly different to give you some extra ideas. So with this one, I blended some Distress Oxides in a rainbow down a piece of card, and then I did some tone on tone stenciling to create a bit of texture. Then I die cut the keys and then I stamped on them using this splatter stamp and Versamark ink, and then used gold embossing powder to give them a bit of sparkle and shine and a bit of extra visual texture. Then I die cut this sentiment with my alphas, my little alphas, out of gold glitter cardstock and create this slimline card. This is 8.5 high by 3.5 wide, and I think the proportions work quite well with these keys. Long and thin works for this card, I think. And there's still plenty of extra visual white space around the focal point to keep it clean and simple. Instead of blending on today's card, I'm going to do smushing and use my smusher. There is a video on how to make and use a smusher, and I will link that above and down below if you're interested. But I'm going to, instead of create a rainbow, create a warm toned card, have all the keys, have a little bit of all the colours. And I wanted to go cosy because it's about a new home, having a new home. And I've got scattered straw, dried marigold and vintage photo, which are all lovely warm colours. I'm going to start with the lightest colour. Smush it down onto my mat, add some water to create a paint, pick it up with my smusher and then smush it on here, getting quite a good coverage but still letting some white peek through. That'll do. I shall dry that with my hairdryer. I'm working with hammered white cardstock today. It takes the smushing technique really well. If you find your card doesn't, if it's too absorbent, try using some mixed media or watercolour paper and that should solve your problems. So dried marigold, water, smushing. I'm going to try not to cover up all the yellow. I do want a good distribution of the orange. So that's all dry. I dried that with my hairdryer. Now I'm going to add my brown, and I'm going to add much less of this. This is more of an accent colour to add a little bit of depth. And I'm going to soak up a little bit of the darker puddles of the brown because I want to do some stenciling over this, and that's going to add some more depth and dimension, and I don't want things to get too dark too early in the process. So that's nice and dry now, and I'm going to put some stenciling over the top using this number stencil, and these are all quite big, and my keys that I'm going to die cut are going to be quite small, so you're not actually going to be able to read any of the numbers, but I kind of like having the numbers there because it's like moving into a new home. You've got house numbers or flat numbers, apartment numbers, what have you. So I like the kind of symbolism of that. And it's just going to add some visual texture. I've popped it on my grip mat because it's great for holding card and stencil so things don't shift around. Again, I'm going to start with a lighter colour and go over the whole thing so everything gets a bit of yellow. And then the orange in a few places. And then the brown just here and there. And we'll see what that looks like. There we go. So the next stage is to cut my keys out of this. I'm just going to cut this down, probably that side will be fine. I just want it to make sure it fits through my mini Gemini. So I'm just going to arrange my keys so that they get some nice visual texture. So I'll tape those down so they don't shift around. So there we have our cosy keys. They look as if they could be a bit rusty, and that's absolutely fine because that might be suitable for people who have bought an old house and are maybe renovating it or something. I think that'd be quite cool. I popped my keys back on my grip mat in the order that they're going to go down the card because I want to stamp alternate sides of the keys. So I want to stamp here, 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 here. So there's a flow down the card. And I've chosen the orientation of the keys so that you've got the teeth of, is that the right word? Teeth of the key? Not sure. I'm going to call it teeth of the key, alternating. So they kind of fit together nicely and create a rectangle rather than having a sort of higgledy-piggledy arrangement. I hope that makes sense. So because I want to heat emboss, I'm just going to give them a bit of a going over with my cornflower. I don't need them to stay perfectly still, and to be honest, because this is a splatter stamp, it doesn't really matter if some of the embossing powder sticks where it shouldn't. It'll add to the look. So as I said, I'm going to go down my keys, adding the stamp to the alternating ends, turning it as well to give me a different look. So on the original card, I heat embossed in gold. It's always my go-to colour. That's why I've got more gold embossing powder than any of my other colours apart from clear, because I use it most often. But today, with this one, I thought copper might be appropriate. I've only got a little tub of this because I don't use it very often. Pop that in my tray and we'll heat emboss these all at the same time. Now I'm thinking, as these are developing a kind of grungy look, I might just go around the edge a little bit, not too much because it'll overwhelm the keys if I do it too much, and just give them a little bit of definition around the edges with a detail blender brush and darken the edges a little bit. And here's a little close-up of the keys with their heat embossing and edge definition. I think they've come out quite well. I want to give the keys even more depth and dimension. So I have die cut some more keys out of white cardstock and layered two, one on top of the other. And I'm going to then layer this one. So my die cuts are going to be 3 die cuts deep. So I'm going to dip my white die cuts face down in a thin layer of tacky glue and then carefully get my coloured die cut, pop that on the top, knock it together with my tweezers, press it down. Now I had some deli paper somewhere and I think it's gone for a walk. There's a little bit more and I'm going to use that to give that a good press. Keeps my fingers clean and stops mucky fingers messing up my die cuts. On the original card, because I'd use gold to heat emboss my splatters, I chose a gold glitter cardstock for my sentiment. But I think because I've got copper on here, I'm going to use copper glitter cardstock for my sentiment. My card blank is 3.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall, which I believe is slimline dimensions. And I've already stuck on a panel in the hammered white cardstock that is 1/16 of an inch smaller all the way around. So now I'm going to need some more glue so that I can stick everything down. So I've got my T-square ruler here just to help me get things straight. And I'm going to start with this one, glue it up. Tap it down so it's not got too much glue on it. Okay, so that's pretty central. Next we've got this one, which is going the other way up. And next I'm going to add New Home. And these particular letters just snuggle nicely with this particular set of key dies. And because I don't get to use these very often, and I think it'll look quite nice, I'm going to put 3 little copper Nouveau drops, just making sure the nozzle's clear and it's not going to squirt all over everything. So there we go. 2 New Home cards made using very similar techniques. The main difference is I did some smushing instead of blending, and I went for a different colour scheme on the 2 cards. One that's sort of bright and cheerful and rainbowy, and one that's more kind of, it's not vintage, is it? Because it's still clearly clean and simple, but it's got that cosy warm feel to it. And I really like them both. I don't think I can choose between them. I'm thinking I might add a couple of gold Nouveau drops to this one as well, but we shall see. I'll leave it and make a decision later on. Right, that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and maybe it's given you some ideas to use. If you want to see more from me, do subscribe to my channel and I will see you back here very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.